There's a small town outside Nashville where the average home now sells for almost $3 million, and until about a decade ago, its biggest landmark was a general store and a two-lane road. That's not a typo. $3 million in a town most Tennesseans have never even driven through. Here's what's actually happening, and almost nobody is talking about it. The number of millionaires in the Nashville area jumped more than 70% in just a few years, climbing north of 116,000 people, and there are now more than 1,000 individuals in that metro alone worth over $30 million each. They're pouring in from New York, from Illinois, from California, and the loudest reason they'll give you off the record is always the same. Tennessee doesn't have a state income tax. None. As of 2021, the state finished killing off its last one, the Hall tax on interest and dividends, which means for a family earning 7 or 8 figures, moving here instead of staying in a state with a 10% top rate can mean saving 6 or 7 figures every single year. Every year. That's not a discount. That's a new wing on the house. But here's the twist the headlines miss. The truly wealthy aren't piling into downtown Nashville high-rises where everyone can see them. They're doing the opposite. They're quietly buying up sleepy little towns you've never heard of, places with one stoplight and a whole lot of acreage, and turning them into some of the most expensive real estate in the entire South. Private golf clubs behind gates. Equestrian estates next to James Beard-winning restaurants. Mountaintop enclaves that have been hiding old money for 100 years. I spent weeks tracking down exactly where the money is going. We've got a village where a $3 million house buys you 10 acres and a barn. A mountaintop town where the wealthy have been escaping the summer heat since the 1800s. A tiny farm community that's home to one of the most exclusive resorts on the planet, where a single night can cost more than some people's rent. And a whole string of places that look like nothing from the highway and cost a fortune from the driveway. If you want to see where America's quiet money is actually landing, stick around, because this list gets wild. Hit that subscribe button, and let's count down the 10 small Tennessee towns where millionaires are secretly moving. Number 2 is going to surprise you. Number 10, Thompson Station. Let's start with the town that proves this whole pattern is real. Thompson Station sits in Williamson County, just south of Franklin, and for most of its existence, it was a quiet railroad stop with rolling farmland and not much reason to slow down. That version is disappearing fast. Today, the median household income here runs around $122,000, and that number tells you everything about who's moving in. This is where Franklin's overflow of wealth has been spilling for the last several years. Buyers who got priced out of the county's flashier addresses and discovered they could get more land, more privacy, and newer construction just a few miles south. The typical home now trades in the high 6 figures and climbs comfortably past $1 million as you get into the estate lots and the acreage. What the money is buying here is space and a head start. Thompson Station is the leading edge of the wealth wave, the place where you can still find a large modern home on a real piece of land before the prices catch up to Franklin and Brentwood, which they are steadily doing. The schools rate among the best in a county famous for its schools. The Cool Springs Shopping and Dining District is a short drive north, and downtown Nashville is close enough for the executives and entrepreneurs who need to be there. Thompson Station isn't the trophy purchase on this list. It's the smart money entry point, the town where the affluent buy in early, precisely because it still feels like a secret. And in Williamson County, secrets like that don't stay cheap for long. Number 9, Arrington. A few miles east, still tucked into Williamson County, sits Arrington, and this is where the money starts getting serious. The typical home value in Arrington runs north of $1 million, and the whole character of the place is built around a single idea: privacy money can't buy in the suburbs. Arrington is horse country and estate country. This is where you find the 10-acre parcels, the custom builds set far back from the road, the barns and the guest houses and the long private drives. The buyers here aren't looking for a subdivision with a shared pool. They're looking for a compound, a place where the nearest neighbor is a tree line away and the land itself is part of the point. Some of these estates function as genuine hobby farms, which in a low-tax state with agricultural incentives is its own kind of financial strategy. The town is also home to Arrington Vineyards, the winery co-founded by country star Kix Brooks, which has quietly turned into one of the region's most fashionable gathering spots and put a genuine luxury anchor in the middle of all this farmland. That combination, world-class wine, rolling estates, and a straight shot to Nashville, is exactly the recipe that draws high-net-worth buyers who want the trappings of a country estate without giving up access to a real city. Arrington is what happens when wealth wants to look like it isn't trying. Understated from the road, extraordinary from the inside, and priced accordingly. Number 8. Nolensville. Nolensville is the town on this list that's transforming in real time, right in front of everyone, and somehow still flying under the radar nationally. Once a genuinely tiny historic village on the edge of the Nashville metro, it's now one of the fastest appreciating luxury markets in Middle Tennessee. Here's the range that tells the story. Homes in Nolensville commonly sell in the 600s to the 800s, but the ceiling climbs well past $3 million for the top estates, and the typical home value now sits in the mid-700,000s. That spread is the signature of a town in the middle of moving upmarket, where a solid family home and a genuine luxury estate can sit within a few minutes of each other. What's driving it is a combination the wealthy find irresistible. Nolensville kept its small-town charm, the historic Main Street, the sense that it's an actual community rather than a subdivision, while layering modern upscale development on top of it. Add the top-rated Williamson County schools and the easy access to Nashville, and you've got a place that appeals to the exact buyer profile flooding into Tennessee. Executives and entrepreneurs relocating from high-tax states who want the storybook town and the big house and the low-tax bill all at once. The honest note here is that Nolensville's secret is nearly out. The demand is strong, the appreciation trend favors sellers, and inventory in the upper tiers moves quickly. If the pattern on this list holds, and it always does, Nolensville is a year or two from being simply expensive rather than quietly expensive. Number 7. Farragut. Let's cross the state to the Knoxville metro, because the quiet money migration isn't just a Nashville story. Farragut sits just west of Knoxville along the shores of Fort Loudon Lake, and it carries the highest median household income in the entire Knoxville area, approaching $142,000. That figure makes it the clear upscale anchor of East Tennessee. Farragut is what refined suburban wealth looks like when it doesn't need to shout. The homes here run from very comfortable to genuinely luxurious, with the premium properties clustering along the waterfront and the lake coves, where a boat dock is simply part of the package. This is executive country, the kind of place where the neighborhoods are planned, the amenities are polished, and the whole environment is engineered around a certain quality of daily life. What the affluent are buying in Farragut is lifestyle without friction. You get lake access, some of the best schools in the region, easy proximity to Knoxville's business core and its major medical centers, and the University of Tennessee's cultural and sporting life right down the road. And thanks to Tennessee's remarkably low property taxes, stacked on top of zero income tax, a lakefront estate here carries an annual ownership cost that would genuinely shock a buyer coming from Illinois or California. Farragut proves the thesis travels. The money isn't only chasing Nashville. Anywhere in Tennessee you find lake, schools, and a straight line to a real city, you find the wealthy quietly moving in, and Farragut is East Tennessee's cleanest example. Number 6. Kingston. If you're enjoying this, look at where the quiet money is landing. Do me a quick favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people, and the top 5 are the most surprising entries on the whole list. Now, Kingston. This one is a genuine sleeper. Kingston is a small town in Roane County, west of Knoxville, sitting at the meeting point of the Clinch and Tennessee rivers and along the shores of Watts Bar Lake. And it represents the next frontier of Tennessee's luxury migration, the affordable lake play, before the crowd arrives. Here's why the savvy money is circling. Watts Bar is a massive reservoir, part of the chain of TVA lakes that stretches across East Tennessee, and it offers the same waterfront lifestyle. Boating, fishing, deep water docks, sunset over the water evenings that commands astronomical prices in more famous lake markets. But because Kingston itself is a modest, under-the-radar town, the waterfront here still trades at a fraction of what comparable water costs at a name-brand destination. That gap is exactly what attracts a certain kind of wealthy buyer, the one who wants the lake estate but refuses to overpay for the zip code. What you get is real acreage on real water, within easy reach of Knoxville's airport, hospitals, and business core, in a low-tax state with cheap property taxes. For a high-net-worth family building, a second home, or a full-time lake compound, that math is close to irresistible. The estates going up along these coves are getting bigger and more ambitious every year. Kingston is the entry on this list that most looks like nothing and most rewards a closer look. It's where the water money goes before the water money gets discovered. Number 5. Signal Mountain. Now we go up. Signal Mountain rises just 15 minutes above downtown Chattanooga, perched on the southern tip of the Cumberland Plateau, and it has been a refuge for the affluent since it was first developed as a cool air escape from the valley heat generations ago. That heritage never left. The numbers make the point. The median home price on Signal Mountain runs around $685,000, and prices have been climbing on strong demand, which puts this community of just under 9,000 people among the most expensive real estate not just in Tennessee, but consistently among the pricier small markets in America. The top estates along the mountain's brow, where the homes look out over the entire Tennessee River Valley, climb well past $2.5 million. What Signal Mountain sells is a combination almost nowhere else can match. You get a genuine mountaintop community with a roughly 7-degree cooler climate and less humidity than the valley below, some of the very best public schools in the region, one of the lowest crime rates in the entire state, and a tight-knit town where residents pour real money into keeping the place exceptional. And all of it sits 15 minutes from a real city with an airport, hospitals, and a booming downtown. A notable share of the workforce here telecommutes in high-paying, white-collar professions, exactly the mobile wealth that can live anywhere and chooses the mountain. Signal Mountain is old money geography, meeting new money income. It has been quietly wealthy for a century, and the current migration is simply pouring fuel on a fire that was already burning. Number 4. Lookout Mountain. Just across the valley from Signal Mountain, straddling the Tennessee-Georgia line above Chattanooga, sits Lookout Mountain, and if Signal Mountain is quietly wealthy, Lookout Mountain is the mountaintop that's been prestigious for well over 100 years. This is one of the most visually stunning luxury enclaves in the entire state, and the price tags reflect exactly that. Home values on Lookout Mountain routinely sit above $1 million, with the median in the higher tiers and the trophy estates climbing far beyond. The community's reputation for exclusivity dates back generations, when it first gained prominence as a summer retreat for wealthy families escaping the valley's intense heat. Today, that heritage has matured into a year-round haven for executives, entrepreneurs, and professionals who want genuine mountain serenity within minutes of downtown Chattanooga. What sets Lookout Mountain apart from newer luxury markets is that it wasn't built on suburban sprawl. It exudes character and permanence, mature hardwoods, winding drives, preserved parkland, a sense of timelessness that new construction simply cannot manufacture. Living here means natural landmarks like Rock City and Ruby Falls in your backyard, hiking trails threading through protected forest, and some of the most dramatic sunrises and sunsets in the South viewed from your own porch. The local elementary school ranks among the very best public schools in the state, and the crime rate is exceptionally low. Lookout Mountain is the enclave the wealthy choose when they want prestige with roots, a place whose exclusivity isn't a marketing campaign but a 100-year-old fact. The current wave of high-net-worth arrivals isn't creating this market. They're paying a premium to join one that was already legendary. Number 3. Leiper's Fork. Back to Williamson County for the top 3. And Leiper's Fork is where wealth and taste collide in the most Tennessee way imaginable. This is a tiny, unincorporated village west of Franklin, a genuine crossroads with a general store and a couple of galleries, and it happens to be one of the most coveted luxury addresses in the entire state. The estates around Leiper's Fork are the stuff of quiet legend. This is where a multi-million-dollar purchase secures 10-plus acres accompanied by guest houses, barns, and dramatic ridgetop views, custom-built compounds tucked into the hills where celebrities and executives buy specifically for the privacy and the beauty. Country music stars, entertainment figures, and business leaders have made this rolling countryside their retreat, drawn by the same thing. It's spectacular, it's discreet, and it feels 100 miles from anywhere while sitting a short drive from Franklin and Nashville. What makes Leiper's Fork remarkable is that all this wealth wraps around a village that has fiercely protected its character. The little downtown still hosts live music and community suppers, the surrounding land is still working farmland and horse country, and the whole ethos is the opposite of flashy. The luxury here is the land itself, the space, the seclusion, the ridgelines, and the ability to own a genuine operating hobby farm that generates a little income and a lot of lifestyle in a state that taxes none of it. Leiper's Fork is where Tennessee's quiet money feels most at home, because the entire place is built around the idea that the best luxury is the kind nobody else can see. Number 2. College Grove. I told you number 2 would surprise you. College Grove sits in the southeast corner of Williamson County, and until recently it was farmland, cattle, and country roads, the kind of place you'd pass through without noticing. Today, it's one of the single most expensive small real estate markets in Tennessee, and the numbers are genuinely staggering. Depending on the source and the season, the average listing price in College Grove has run anywhere from around $3 million to nearly $4 million, with individual listings reaching 11, 16 million and beyond. Let me say that again, because it's the whole point of this video. In a rural former farming community most people have never heard of, the average luxury listing price crossed into the multiple millions, and the median sale price sits well over $1 million. This is farmland that turned into some of the priciest dirt in the state, seemingly overnight. The engine behind it is Private Club living at the very top of the market. College Grove is home to Troubadour Golf and Field Club and The Grove, gated golf communities where the amenities, the course, the clubhouse, the sense of a self-contained luxury world draw exactly the buyer who's been flooding into Tennessee from higher tax states. These are the compounds with the 3- and 4-car garages, the curated finishes, the acreage, the ridge views, and they radiate outward into custom estates on vast private parcels where the whole point is full-scale country living rather than any subdivision. What makes College Grove the perfect number 2 on this list is how completely it captures the pattern. Rural anonymity, a wave of quiet wealth, a couple of exclusive clubs as the catalyst, and prices that went from cow pasture to multi-million in the blink of an eye, all fueled by a state that lets those buyers keep what a high-tax state would have taken. College Grove isn't becoming a millionaire's town. It already is one. Most people just haven't noticed yet. Number 1, Walland. And that brings us to number 1, the strangest and most exclusive entry of them all. Walland is a tiny community in Blount County, in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains south of Knoxville, and by population, it's barely a town at all. But Walland is home to something that draws the wealthiest people in America to this quiet corner of East Tennessee, Blackberry Farm. Blackberry Farm is a legendary luxury resort spread across a pastoral estate of thousands of acres at the foot of the Smokies, and it sits at the absolute pinnacle of American hospitality. This is a Relais and Chateau property with a James Beard Award-winning restaurant, its own butcher, cheesemaker, beekeeper, and preservationist, a place so revered that a single night can run into the thousands of dollars, all meals, and the farm-to-table philosophy included. Its sister property, Blackberry Mountain, spans thousands more acres, much of it dedicated to land conservation, and earned an elite designation before it even opened. Together, they've turned this speck on the map into a global magnet for celebrities, executives, and old money families. And here's why Walland tops the list. Where a resort like that puts down roots, private estates follow. The wealthy who fall in love with the Smoky Mountain foothills, the cool mountain air, the seclusion, the proximity to Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and yet only a short drive to the Knoxville airport, buy land here to build compounds of their own. Walland has become shorthand for a very particular kind of quiet ultra-wealth. The buyer who wants genuine wilderness and world-class refinement in the same breath, and who has the means to have both, in a state that taxes none of their income. Walland is number 1 because it represents the endpoint of this entire migration. Not the executive buying into a golf club, not the family upgrading to a lake estate, but the highest tier of American wealth choosing a nearly invisible mountain town precisely because it's invisible, because privacy at that level is the ultimate luxury, and because Tennessee lets them keep the fortune that buys it. If you want to know where the quietest money in America is landing, it's a place most people will never find on a map. And that's exactly the way its residents want it. The bottom line, so there you have it. 10 small Tennessee towns where the wealthy are quietly, deliberately, planting their flags, and notice how consistent the pattern is, because it's the whole story. Every single one of these places combines the same core ingredients. A state that takes $0 of income tax from people who have a great deal of income. Property taxes among the lowest in the country. A famous name city close enough for the airport and the business deals, but far enough away for genuine privacy. And land, whether it's rolling estate acreage, lakefront coves, or Smoky Mountain foothills, that lets serious money build the kind of compound it can't get in a crowded suburb. The result is a slow, quiet transformation happening all across Tennessee that most people are only starting to notice. Farmland turning into multi-million-dollar golf enclaves. Sleepy railroad stops becoming six-figure income towns. Mountaintops and lake coves filling up with the kind of wealth that got tired of paying a 10% tax just to exist somewhere else. The number of millionaires in the Nashville area alone jumped more than 70% in just a few years, and they didn't all move downtown where you'd see them. A lot of them moved to the towns on this list, precisely because you wouldn't. These places aren't famous, they'll never run a Super Bowl ad, and for the people moving into them, that anonymity isn't a drawback, it's the entire point. If this video showed you a side of Tennessee you'd never considered, subscribe to the channel, because I dig into stories like this every single week, where the money is really moving, which towns are about to transform, and the real estate patterns the headlines miss. And do me one favor, drop a comment and tell me which of these 10 towns surprised you the most, or which one you'd move to if the budget were no object. I read every single one. I'll see you in the next one.